your identity and your ability to prove your identity can be ruined by spilling a cup of coffee onto a document is very old world. So we're very excited to be moving into the future with identity and how we can utilize that to enable a host of services, and it won't be able to be ruined by an accident.
And the other thing is that you think about a modern company, we think about identity in terms of people, but there's also sensors, there's IoT devices, there's drones. When we look to 2025, 2030, and beyond, the very notion of what is an autonomous agent, an object, what is something that needs an identifier is fundamentally changing. And being a telecommunication company, there's probably more non-human things that you guys have to identify in your stack than human things in the stack. So what's so beautiful about this collaboration is what we're trying to figure out is bedrock. So we're trying to figure out what is a universal identifier that's built with standards, like through the W3C and so forth, that's open and not vendor specific, that can be integrated into this type of infrastructure. So then not only can you build on that and get a lot of great functionality about that, but then you have maximum business flexibility and the places you want to go, the people you want to work with, the systems you want to interoperate with. For example, this Cardano collaboration is great for Cardano, but at the end of the day, these credentials and assets can very easily also be embedded in Ethereum and Bitcoin and other ecosystems. And so that puts Dish and Boost in the driver's seat about what is best for the business, what is best for the customer, what is best for the consumer. And there are going to be many cases where it turns out that there are other experiences that are best. There was another large company that actually had to go through this renaissance, and it turned out to be one of the greatest business transformation stories of all time. It was the transformation of Microsoft. They used to have this very closed mindset of Windows first and forever. We can never work with Android and Apple. We can't work with competitors. We have to build everything internally. And then when they opened it up, they said sometimes it's okay just to be mobile first and not actually have a Windows mobile. And now they're, I think, almost a $2 trillion company, far more profitable, far more resilient, far more loved. And that's exactly the kind of transformation we expect to see in the telecommunications space. The first people to embrace open standards, the first people to embrace maximal flexibility in the business model, agility, and to Stephen's point, the ability to create velocity in the commercial transactions. That is the stuff that creates the 10x growth and the 100x growth. And that's the stuff that transforms the telco from just a layer zero boring infrastructure company into a company that becomes a kingmaker for entire verticals in the industry and has a more balanced relationship with their customer base, which will be ever growing.
Let me just hit one point home, because I think what Charles is talking about is extremely important, and bringing it back to the consumer. But other companies, obviously us taking the lead is good for us. But it's also good for a broad ecosystem of everybody who kind of follows. Because if you think about it, if you want access to tens of millions of customers and you're a financial services firm or you're an insurance company, sharing that same underlying digital infrastructure for digital identification allows you to kind of get access in a very seamless way without having to do a business development relationship and a formal 6-month legal documents and a partnership to be able to kind of bring everybody together. And so again, it's not just good for us at Boost and Dish, but it's going to be good for the entire ecosystem and other third parties that want to participate in it.
I 100% agree. I mean, I take this one very personally. I think there's a new feature in iOS where it kind of lists all the accounts that have been hacked or have been on some kind of leak. And I looked at the list and it's almost every single one of my accounts. And we've almost accepted this as normal. And if I know personally, if a provider like Boost offers a secure ID where I can be assured that won't happen, I would switch carriers. Of course, like you said, they all provide similar performances. The price points are almost equivalent. If I could get this, I would definitely switch carriers, and I think millions of other people would do the same thing. And I think there's an education to be done, because it almost feels like we've given up this right. We didn't even know that we gave it up, and now there's a new opportunity to get it back. I think that's extremely powerful.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of SIM boosting just within the cryptocurrency industry. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been stolen just by people illegally porting cell phone numbers and getting access to people's Coinbase account and other places. And that's just such a fundamental thing of, how do we know our relationship with our customer? How do we make sure that that customer is actually who they say they are? That should be easy to solve in 2021. But because legacy infrastructure makes it hard, that's a problem. And it's a problem at scale across the entire industry. And to your point, there seems to be a great degree of tone deafness to that, which is because, they're ossified monopolies. And how you win is you disrupt that, and you just gotta bring something revolutionary new. And if you get it right, everybody else follows, and then it makes the entire industry better for everyone.
Look, the core principle here is it's the customer really owning their own identity here. And so at the very fundamental basic here, you got a customer who owns his own identity versus a company owning the customer's identity. So I think just even from that perspective, it's a completely different way of sort of approaching identity than sort of the probably 150 different companies right now own my identity. And this is taking it, and it gives me as a consumer the chance to take that back and own it myself.
Another big part of our partnership is tokenized loyalty points. This is more for Boost. This is something that will help boost customers. Can you give us some inputs about how that's going to help the customer, generally speaking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at loyalty programs, probably the airline industry is your biggest example of success. And I think you guys have kind of shared some data points. American Airlines is their loyalty programs worth $30 billion of consumer value, right, or of corporate value. But more broadly, you look at the loyalty program, third-party ecosystem. I can use those points for flights, obviously, but I can use them for hotels. I can use them for car rentals. I can use them outside of the travel space. I can use them to redeem cash. So they've built out very robust third-party ecosystems. Now, Boost is going to be the first telco to really embrace not only a loyalty program, but a blockchain-based loyalty program. And the reason that the blockchain piece is important here is because we're going to be able to catch up to what the airlines have built over decades in a matter of months, maybe a year, right? We'll have an ecosystem because blockchain gives us the ability to have third parties engage in the ecosystem very quickly, as we've talked about already, allows transferability. So yes, obviously a Boost customer will earn loyalty points by doing various actions, paying their bills, signing up, inviting a friend, et cetera, et cetera. But the ability to redeem those points for not just money off your bill or a new phone, but into cash, into Bitcoin, into Cardano, into a hotel, into a flight, into all kinds of third-party services, into financial services. That ability, enabled by blockchain, will sort of accelerate a loyalty program decades from what it might take if we were just trying to do things and recreate the airline model. So pretty excited about not just the loyalty program we're doing it, but how we're doing it in collaboration with you guys here.
Yeah, and what's so cool about this type of a program is it's very dynamic. A lot of loyalty programs are static. You're told what you get, and then you operate within the rules of that system, and that's that. The power of blockchain is openness and innovation, where third parties can come in and find new ways and concepts to be able to integrate and use these types of things, where they have identity plus loyalty plus wallet infrastructure and other such things, and it all just works on a phone, and it's all seamless. So it could end up being the number one consumer of this system 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. A company we've never met, we know nothing about, and didn't ask permission. They just built in an open store or something like that. That was kind of the magic of Google Play, the magic of the iOS store, was that all these incredible developers, entrepreneurs, and other businesses came, and they had a platform to build on, and then suddenly you could use your flash on your phone as a flashlight. You know, it's just incredible to see the level of innovation that came. And now we're doing that with incentives engineering. We're doing that with loyalty points, and a whole ecosystem can develop. And that ecosystem, as Stephen said, is interoperable with real financial rails. So it's easy to move between different instruments of value and represent different instruments of value, whether that be bandwidth or priority service or cash or whatever it might be. The other thing is that it creates really interesting user-to-user interactions. We do a lot of business in Africa, and one of the great success stories of the 2000s of Africa was the emergence of M-Pesa, where cell phone minutes became currency, which was a really remarkable concept. And so this idea that users now have instruments they can work with for remittances or for whatever they happen to have in their financial life is a really cool concept. And it's going to be really fun to see what the customers come up with. And then, as he said, very rapidly you could add functionality and features on a quarterly basis to embrace that change so that you can always stay on the bleeding edge of the business model.
Yeah, let me add real quick. To that point, I mean, we expect an ecosystem that's far more expansive than the airline industry within a matter of years, or even quicker, perhaps. And again, it's enabled there. And look, at the end of the day, if you think about it, you want access to the Boost customer base and the tens of millions of subscribers, you can do that on your own. You can have access, and you can be remunerated by these loyalty points for your access. And so it's pretty exciting from that perspective. And from a Boost customer perspective, look, stay with Boost long enough, we might buy your next house, buy your next car, And it opens up all kinds of value to the consumer as they accumulate these loyalty points that actually have value well beyond the Boost ecosystem as it exists today.
The thing that excites me the most about it is the innovation that we don't know is going to happen. It's like crowdsourcing innovation. You're creating a platform and people with the loyalty points or maybe some other token will power a host of applications that we can't even imagine today. And I think, Chris, from your perspective, I think being able to crowdsource your innovation from your customers, that will actually be more loyal customers, so you get the engagement, the retention, the acquisition, but then you opened up innovation to the world based on this type of program. So I'd love to hear more of your thoughts
Makes
about
my
that.
job a lot easier, for one thing. But clearly, networks are much more powerful the bigger they are. And so to be able to go directly to the community that is our behalf of and get their input is incredibly powerful. And I'm hoping that this turns into something that's much, much bigger than just us.
Charles, why don't you bring this home for all of us?
Well, it's a great beginning, and what's really cool is there's collectively a lot of brain power and a lot of goodwill and a lot of truly amazing ideas that are on the table. But for this collaboration to be successful, we got to execute, we got to move forward, and we always have to keep our eye on the prize about the experiences that are needed and the level of participation that's needed. So what's so cool about it is that just in 9 months, we've gone from, hi, nice to meet you, Chris, to this massive fundamental transformation of a Fortune 250 company. And I'm very optimistic that in the coming months to years, we're going to see that collaboration be shared with the millions of Boost customers and eventually the broader ecosystem, the entire cryptocurrency and blockchain space and the entire telecommunications space. This is the kind of deal that I can imagine a decade horizon involves hundreds of millions, if not billions of people. I'm deeply passionate about it because to do the things we'd like to do as a company, we have to back the unbanked and connect the unconnected. And that's a tremendous challenge. And to work with a tier one telecommunications company, it not only teaches us how to make our products more competitive and make Cardano a better ecosystem, but it also ultimately teaches us how to bring this type of connectivity and these ideas to continents like Africa, to places like Cuba, to places like South America, to places like Southeast Asia, where there are literally billions of people who are underbanked or unbanked and really need a leg up. So this is a very passionate project for me. And it's something that I'm probably going to spend a huge chunk of my time. I know Chris has spent probably the majority of his time this year on it. It's been exhausting, but we're always invigorated and recharged by the fact that we actually have a chance to make a real difference in people's lives. And we have a chance to make a very big difference in the industry. And to work with a partner like Dish that's done this for 40 years, again and again and again, literally every time they came in, they were the rebel, the underdog, the disruptor that always found a way to look at and do things differently, whether it be satellite equipment out of the back of a truck to basically the things they've done with HughesNet and EchoStar and these other great product lines is really an honor. And it's the privilege of my career to learn from you guys and work with you guys.
And likewise for us, I mean, the community that you guys have built is just getting started. I want to congratulate the Cardano community for getting the Alonzo upgrade launched and deployed. The community to really take root, and we're very excited to be a part of that. So, thank you.
It's going to be fun.
Thank you, guys. It's also been a personal pleasure of mine to work with you guys. It's part of it is always how much value can you bring, but you reach a point in your career where it's just, I want to work with people I like working with, and it's been a personal pleasure of mine to work with you guys. Thank you.
So at the Cardano Summit, we've announced a strategic collaboration with Chainlink Labs. Nikki Arias-Singer is their head of blockchain partnerships, and he joins me now. Nikki, many people will have heard of Chainlink, but perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Hi Tim, pleasure to be here. Absolutely. So Chainlink is actually the largest decentralized Oracle network in the world. So we essentially do two things. One is we're very focused on bringing off-chain data securely on-chain, so onto any blockchain. And the second thing that we're really focused on is enabling interoperability between different blockchains as well. So we offer a whole range of smart contract services. Just to give you some examples, we're very well known for providing price feeds. So these are crypto price feeds, so the price of BTC USD as a simple example. And we do that via a decentralized method involving a whole range of data providers, a very vast node operator network, and allows that secure price to go through to users. And we actually power about 70% of the entire DeFi ecosystems. So we started off with crypto price feeds, and in fact there's a whole range of other smart contract services we provide now as well. So verifiable randomness, so this is on-chain verifiable randomness, which is very useful in areas like gaming and NFTs. And another product we've recently launched called Keepers. So this provides automation and smart contract maintenance services, very popular in the DeFi space as well. So for us, it's really about providing those smart contract services to users so they can then build highly user-centric and powerful applications on top of platforms like Cardano.
So tell us a little bit more about your vision and mission as a company.
So for us, we provide decentralized Oracle networks, but starting off with things like crypto price feeds and DeFi is really just the beginning. And fundamentally for us, our vision is really wanting to make a wider impact on society with what we call the truth in a cryptographic provided way. And this can really be provided via advanced smart contracts. And we really want to extend out what blockchains and smart contracts can do across a whole range of industries and across a whole range of platforms. And our broader vision, which we hope to achieve, I assume many years from now, is really to kind of focus on building an open source standard for how this type of cryptographic truth can enable blockchains and smart contracts to actually make useful applications for the world. So to bring it to life a little bit, in terms of the areas that I mentioned earlier, when I mentioned that ability to bring off-chain data securely onto any blockchain. This can happen via any type of data feed. Crypto price feeds is just the beginning. It can enable connections with payment systems and so on and so forth. But one example that might be quite useful is in the area of parametric insurance. So we work with a number of interesting fintech startups that are trying to enable parametric insurance in sub-Saharan Africa. And one of the key data inputs that's required for those parametric insurance contracts is highly secure, verifiable, and robust weather data for those to activate those particular parametric insurance contracts. So that's just one example, but there's a whole range of other really interesting data that we hope to bring to platforms like Cardano, so your users can build really interesting applications on top of that data. The second key area as well is enabling cross-chain interoperability, and this is really a framework for enabling bridges between different chains. And so this is something that we hope to collaborate with the Cardano ecosystem as well. And really what it's about is enabling a multi-chain world.
So we're announcing our strategic collaboration, obviously, at the summit this weekend. Perhaps you can just tell us a little bit more about why you want to get involved with Cardano's ecosystem.
We have a tremendous amount of respect for the Cardano ecosystem. I think there's a tremendous amount of respect, obviously, for the technical team behind Cardano, IOG, and so on, but also for the collaborative nature of the community as well. So I think there's a tremendous amount of respect between the Chainlink and Cardano ecosystems. Secondly, obviously, a lot of this comes down to timing. Cardano obviously has had a extended period where we've had different drops of upgrades over time. And I think obviously the most recent is Alonzo, really about enabling smart contracts. So for us, this is really about the right time to engage with the Cardano ecosystem and really a coming together of what is a very highly technically able and powerful platform like Cardano, and also bringing together Chainlink, which is really built to enable smart contracts via that off-chain data in particular.
And what do you hope you expect the community to see as a result of this collaboration?
Well, I think it's important to understand as we embark on this collaboration as well that the idea of intra-trivial matter. So, I always like to say that when we interact and when we complete an integration with a particular chain, it's a very high hurdle to meet. We have very high security, reliability, and scalability standards for every integration that we do. And so, just as a mental model for folks in the Cardano ecosystem to imagine what we're trying to build here in terms of an integration is something that will enable, for example, hundreds of billions of dollars of TVL to be secured on the Cardano ecosystem, particularly in the DeFi space. So I think that's firstly an important point to kind of note. I think the second point that's really quite important as well in terms of our collaboration is that Cardano has a whole range of unique features that have been built, obviously for very specific reasons, but that obviously are key aspects that we need to kind of work through at a technical level. But we feel really confident that with a strong collaboration between the IOG technical team as well as the Chainlink Labs technical team, that we're actually very well placed to surmount some of those challenges and some of those hurdles and actually build a very, very robust and highly reliable and highly scalable integration between Cardano and Chainlink. And so what users can expect when this is ready, and we'll obviously provide updates as things progress, but really a two-stage process. The first is a testnet that will be made open to users to particularly deploy in a safe testnet environment some of those crypto price feeds, so the users can start to figure out how those add value to the dApps that they're building. And secondly, once mainnet integration launched, what is very likely that users will get access to is a whole range of crypto price feeds, then followed by a whole range of additional other services like more esoteric data feeds, whether it's weather data, whether it's sports data or whatever it may be that's in demand in the Cardano ecosystem. And then some of those other services that I mentioned, verifiable randomness, keepers, and perhaps other services that are demanded by users in the Cardano ecosystem. But those will continue to be added to and as part of the collaboration.
Nikki, exciting times ahead. Thanks very much for joining us at the Cardano Summit.
Thank you, Jim.
I this is.
Established in 2011 as the first Ethiopian tech incubator and accelerator organization, and we're very like Pan-African by heart. Our mission is like to create entrepreneurship ecosystem across different markets. Our target is in East Africa, but we also have like operations in other markets as well. We always say we're amplifying startups and amplifying founders, the next products that can fly. But also, like, we are working with high potential early stage startups. So we're really trying to identify companies early enough, and by providing structural business development service, we help them to grow and to become bigger companies. So that's really our mission. We are community oriented, so everything we do, we're trying to source talent and ideas from our community, and we've been like building tech communities for a long time. Bringing the idea of startup and tech communities to the Ethiopian ecosystem, and we're also promoting like African innovation and startup ecosystem to the global audience. So that's us in a nutshell. And we've been working with several companies so far. Like we've been incubating for 3 companies, accelerating 31 companies, and this year 2021 we celebrated our 10 years anniversary. So it's been a fun journey.
Fantastic. So one of the areas which we're working on together is over incubation and support for Catalyst startups. So for people who don't know, Catalyst is the world's largest decentralized fund. It provides unrestricted funding towards startups and projects that put their proposals onto the Catalyst platform, and ADA holders across the world get to vote on which projects get funded. So as we start to see some of these companies winning these proposals on the Catalyst, Marcos, you're also going to be providing acceleration and support for the winning proposals. Maybe you can walk us through what that means exactly. What would it look like for a company after they've won the proposal and you start to work with them on this acceleration work? Walk us through that, please.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is like one of the exciting times. Since we're introduced to the Catalyst program, I think like we're very fascinating, like how this is extremely community oriented, extremely decentralized, and very fascinating.